your fast lasers to match your slowest. And David laid this out back in
2008 or 9,
yeah. Built a couple of test boards, brought it up to Charleston. We spent the weekend mashing our head against the wall trying to get it adjusted.
Yeah.
And I had a projector that had particularly mismatched lasers. I had very fast red and horrible green and reasonable blue, and we got it to look pretty good. So then he went back home and discovered a new set of frames. And actually ended up making your own, did you not?
Yeah, I made a couple test frames that make it a good bit easier to adjust the board than just using the older test pattern or anything else. But there's a couple other benefits to the board itself. Not only does it have the ability to adjust the rising edge as well as the falling edge of the color signal, but it's got a differential front end, which is a big benefit, as well as offset, and you also have a gain adjustment on it as well. But the outputs are also protected with Zener diodes, so you can actually hook 120 volts up to the input, and you only get 5 volts on the output.
Bi-directional, or are they just crowbars short?
It'll continue to work. In fact, you'll probably see the colors going up and down, but it'll just stop at the 5 volts and then come back down.
Where do those frames reside, David?
I put them on PL a while ago. If they're not still on there, I've got it in ILDA format as well as the format for the QM2000. And if anybody needs them, welcome to them. Now, I don't know much about any changes that Stanwax had made. I assume that he left everything the same, but he may have made some changes to incorporate some of his other stuff.
He is currently redesigning it. I'm not sure exactly what he's adding to it. It may be that he's just going to redesign it so that it'll work with his breakout board.
Right.
And he's got that, I think it's called the Matilda board, the Matt ILDA, the buffered board. And since this buffers color and his board will buffer X and Y, I think that's probably where he's going with that.
Yeah.
But my understanding is that they are out of stock now. From what I understand, David, you got the last two.
I did.
So, yeah.
Wish it was last 4.
They really do make your projector look good, and especially if you're doing a lot of graphic shows or Chris, in your case, abstracts. Yes. The tails on an abstract will just.
When I put one of David's boards in my projector and got everything tuned up, the color gradients of the abstracts became really astounding, and I absolutely saw colors and patterns that I did not see before. So
absolutely,
it makes a really profound difference. And there's also, one of the very common things that you see with these cheaper green DPSS lasers is they're kind of twitchy on the low end. So as you start to do color fades, everything tends to shift toward green. And by adjusting the falling edge on these boards, you can clear, I was able to clear probably 90% of that up, and it made a huge difference on the color fades.
Yeah, fantastic. This is one of the first test frames that I came up with. There's 3 of them, one for red, one for green, one for blue. And the idea here is for adjusting offset and gain. And one of the things I was going to change here before I got disconnected was kind of turn that around the way it's supposed to be. There we go. And the idea is you get it the left side as close to that line as you can without seeing anything else. And what I mean by that, if I bring the offset up too high, you'll start seeing the interconnecting lines. You want to just get rid of that and be right about here for the low end for offset. And the gain on the thing actually, I forgot what it was. I think it's like 1.2x gain is what it's doing. So if you have it ramped all the way up, you may get clipping if your signal's not told to come all the way up. Like if it's supposed to come up 80%, well, you might actually get 90% or something like that. So you can bring that down a little bit and see if you can get kind of a better fade from 0 up to the top there.
Oh, that looks much more linear.
And might bring offset up a little bit more to right about there. And so we'll go to the next one. I guess I should have showed a frame that.
Yeah, that shows. See, now you've got a
hang on, let me see. If, I can't really see it too well there. There's another test frame that isn't in here by default.
I have that LSDI test frame in there.
LSDI?
That modified LSDI test frame.
Come about the one with the orange.
Yeah, I think that's the one that
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
doing originally.
I think it's under test frames or something.
Yes,
You may need to come down a
Scan
little bit
test.
on your red though, David. You've got a
Modified, I'm
Okay.
sorry, LDG scanner test.
Okay.
That's not right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe I don't have it. I thought I had it.
You know, let me go beyond.
Well, so you can
Those
very
frames.
clearly see those problems, the problems in those frames you just went through.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna do the instant test frames?
No, because that's not really a good frame. It's just how bad it is, especially there.
There. Yeah, you see how the red's. Yeah, there you go.
Now, what you're going to get there with red, that's kind of why you really need a shutter in your
Yeah.
projector. Because if you want this to be absolutely right, you're going to have that coming out of red. And probably even out of the new greens and the blues at this point. If I were to get rid of that, then that would be right there, but now the pattern isn't right. And that's just
It's just
Way
that's
off.
just
Yeah.
red. That's the characteristic of the red diode as well as the other ones.
They're not very linear at those low currents.
Yeah,
Once you get past threshold, it gets a little bit different, but
yeah.
Well, what it is they produce non-coherent light below thresholds.
Yes.
They're an LED below threshold.
Right.
They don't have zero light.
So that's what you're getting out. And
Yeah.
you really can't get rid of that if you want a really good color palette. Right, so adjust green here. The same thing for all three colors here. Just kind of get them as best as you can and bring gain down just a little bit. And that's just adjusting offset. Blue is probably going to be the worst when it comes to that. Find out in a moment.
and you really need to set your drivers to be just below threshold, so you're always going to get some glow.
Yeah, exactly right. And then if you have a shutter, it won't matter.
Right.
All right, so that's that.
That's gain and offset.
Yeah. And that really has already cleared up a lot of the issues to begin with. And the rest of it is the rising edge and falling edge, which is more of a fine tuning. If you've got the gain and offset right, it's going to be fairly well fixed to begin with. As you can see, there's a little bit on the left side there. And like I said, it's been a while since I've adjusted this. I think the left side was the rising edge adjustment. It looks like I might want to slow down red just a little bit.
Yeah, you did laser.
Okay, well, there it is going the other way. Let me bring it back this way. So it's a little
So
better.
much better.
So that's red. There's a couple test patterns here. That's yellow, so red and green where you get that matched up as best as you can. And then this is green and blue. So now I'd really want to adjust blue. Actually, maybe clean it up a little bit
Might take
more.
your whole gain down a little bit.
Yeah, I think you need to bring the gain on the blue down just a tick. Or not the gain, but the offset rather.
You have so much ghosting.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that's
There you
better.
go.
Yeah.
Switch back to the other fashion. Yeah. Look at that.
All right. And
Oh,
this
yeah.
is the red and blue. And I can bring down red a little bit, but you end up sacrificing a little when you do that.
There you go, right there.
Yeah. So we've gone from that. And as you can see, that's supposed to be white all the way across, and it's nowhere near. To that, it looks like I could actually adjust green a little bit more. And we're starting to fight with now blue. I probably want to bring up red just a hair.
Yep. Hard to tell because red's.
You still have a little bit of a green trail,
Yeah, you
but
can probably bring green. And it's a balancing act.
Yes.
I mean, you're never going to get perfect on all 6.
But you're going to get a lot better than what you
Yeah.
started with. It really does make a profound difference.
And to reiterate the point, if you have good drivers in there for the diodes in the first place, you're going to...
Honestly,
That
it's
does help,
well. I mean, it's less about the driver, particularly when it comes to green, and more about just the fundamental property of a DPSS laser.
Sure.
yeah.
You
Well,
know.
with the
Now, with the direct
the newer
injection
ones,
greens,
yeah.
it'll be a little bit better.
Yeah.
So,
Really looking forward to putting a system together. That's so much better.
yeah.
Beam specs are reasonably close to what those 445s are. That would be awesome.
Well, the beam specs on the 445 is not great.
Yeah, but compared to the 638s.
Actually, they're about the same. Now, speaking of and then rotate the polarization with a wave plate.
That looks
Now,
a lot
there you
better.
go.
That looks a lot
looks
better.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's.
And that's it. There's not much to it. It does take time to tune. It takes patience. But it does seem to work out pretty well.
The right test frames.
They do.
Yeah,
help,
yeah, because we did
too.
not have the frames that he used there when we did this the first time, and it
Yeah,
was
I've
far
never
more
seen those
difficult.
test frames before, so
Really?
I will absolutely go back and retune my projector with those test
Yeah,
frames.
I've got them in ILDA format as well if anybody needs them.
I have
definitely.
people have
Okay.
asked me for ILDA copies
I haven't
of
seen them
those.
up.
What's that?
Thanks, David.
Yeah. No problem.